It's great to be with you today. The text I want to talk about is Matthew 28, 1 through 10. This is an Easter sermon. The story in Matthew 28 says that very early in the morning, Mary Magdalene and another Mary, that Mary's not identified, but two Marys came to the tomb of Jesus. Suddenly, there was a sound like an earthquake, and an angel, garbed in white, rolled away the stone and sat on it. The soldiers who were guarding the tomb were stunned, and it says they looked like dead men. The angel said to Mary, the two Marys, "Would you like to go in? Jesus is not here, but would you like to go into the tomb to see where he was?" And they did. Then the angel looked at them and he said, "I want you to go to the other disciples and I want you to tell them that Jesus is alive." Very first preachers of the resurrection of Christ were women. "Go and tell my disciples that I'm alive, to go to Galilee, and there I will appear to them." Of course, we know what led up to the fact of Easter Sunday. Lord Thurman used to say, that great African-American theologian used to ask people, what is it that makes you feel most alive? What is it that makes you feel most alive? Well, on Friday, before this Easter Sunday morning, these women and some who were away from Jesus, standing far away, saw Jesus die. Not in a way that was an easy kind of death, but a death on a cross, which was a horrible, embarrassing, tragic way to die. It's interesting that in the first several centuries of the church, they never used something like an old rugged cross. They would always decorate it because they had trouble envisioning this God who became human dying in such a sad and horrific way. Buried in a tomb of Joseph of Arimathea, Nicodemus and Joseph of Arimathea, two prominent Jews, but who were never really public in their support and affirmation of Jesus, and were what we sometimes call the silent disciples. They never said anything. They were followers at a distance from Jesus. They anointed his body after he died, and they put him into the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea. But now the stone has been rolled away. Jesus is alive on Sunday, and the women are told, "Go and tell the disciples that he's alive." The disciples who had been crippled in their spirits by what had happened to Jesus had been so demoralized in following somebody they thought was going to be the most conquering Messiah. Now the news came that the cross, the old rugged cross, not the decorated cross of the first few centuries of the church, but the old rugged cross, Jesus had come down, buried, came out of the tomb. Go tell his disciples. Howard Thurman said, "What is it that makes you most alive?" Every year we celebrate Easter, and sometimes it can become just a perfunctory kind of observance in our lives. I hope it never does, because if it were not for Easter Sunday, we would not have a faith that makes us alive. We would not have a Christ who is living. We would not have the good news that he was buried and God raised him from the dead. What is it that makes you feel most alive? This Easter Sunday, I want you to think about that question, because we are either dead people walking, or we are people who found something that makes us really alive in our lives. Death is dead. Jesus has been raised from the dead. Don't you think that that is the thing that should make us feel most alive? I hope this Sunday, Easter Sunday, each of us will know the reason we are most alive. Tell the disciples, he's not dead. He's very much alive. Amen.